Welcome back. This is my weekly recap of my Funded Account Challenge. I will break down execution, mistakes, and lessons I have learned this week. So let's hop right into it. Before we jump into the charts, I want to tell you where I'm at in my challenge. So in my challenge, I'm like in the early to mid phase. It's not new, but like I still need some to make some profits before I can trade on the funded account and really get payouts. Then this week I traded a little more aggressive than usual. I usually risked less than 0.5% per trade. Now I really started to look that I risk 0.5% per trade. And yeah. And the main thing I was protecting this week, I didn't really protect anything. I was more just trying to find out how to trade on my laptop, and yeah. So now let's discuss the market conditions. So volatility this week, like that's the week I marked it out. It was normal. It wasn't that high. And price action, it was a little bit choppy sometimes, like here, but we also had like good trends, like good rallies to the upside or to the downside. So there were possible trades to take. It didn't really affect my trading this week. And yeah. So the next thing we're going to discuss together is my intentions for the week. So what was my main focus going into the trading week? So I didn't really had a main focus. I just wanted to get used to trading on my laptop, and yeah, that was it. So no focus. The focus was learning how to trade on my laptop. So then, which rule mattered the most to me? So I didn't really had a rule that I wanted to adhere this week, or that I gave more attention to. I will set one at the end of the video, but this week I had none. And then what was this week like a protection week or an execution week? And it was clearly execution week because I took a lot of trades and I lost most of them as a little teaser, but yeah, I learned a lot this week. So now we'll hop over to the trade overview. So this week I took a total of 9 trades, and for me that's like a normal, or actually a more higher trade frequency than usual. But I didn't overtrade it because like my max trades is 10 per week, 2 every day, and I'm in that range, so it's fine. And overall, my executions this week were okay. So they weren't significant, but they also weren't detrimental, because price was moving to the upside, but just really slowly. But the 1 hour got inversed, at least on the S&P 500. Then on the 15-minute, I marked out external buy-side liquidity because I knew, or I suspected that if price wanted to take out these lows here, we probably will first move up and then go down. And so that was my bias, like move up and then take out the liquidity here. And yeah, let's see what we did. So here on what asset is it? Yeah, on ES, we had internal manipulation. Wait, let's start it differently. So I lost the trade on this day. I lost a total of $167 on this trade. I took it on NQ. And now let's look at the trade. So now you know the high time frame bias. So I wanted to see a short. And here we actually took out external buy side liquidity. And I just wanted to see now my entry model. So a change in the state, fair value gap getting inversed, and change in the state with displacement for this week. I changed my entry model a little bit, like I made it simpler, but it's basically still the same. So here we got the change in the state in delivery on the 1 minute, and I entered off this one, I don't know where, on NQ. So the first thing I see is we entered late, like by a lot, because change in the state would be here, and then for value gap tab, that's the problem with the current setup. We don't really have a fair value gap tab here, so no entry. So I didn't follow my rules, and I entered without my strategy being visible or relevant. And now let's look at what happened. So I had a valid model. That's true. The model was valid. Then execution was poor. Like we said, I entered late. I entered late. That's it. Then I exited the trade out of fear, not out of strategy or stop loss. Yeah. And then as a take profit, I used the fixed take profit and also fixed stop loss, but I entered early. I exited early or too late. I don't know. I don't remember. And during my trades, I really felt rushed. So that's things I wanted to improve. So I have for this week, I'll have a strict entry model. So either I want to see a change in the state, or I want to see a fair value gap getting inversed, and I can take a trade off this, or I have fair value gap inversion or change in the state and then tap a fair value gap. But that's only if like the displacement with the inverse is so high that my stop is really bad if I place it there. So I hope you guys understood it. Or wait, let's make an example here on the 1 hour as an example. So let's say this here is the change in the state. So that's change in the state. We make it with this candle, and now I need to put my stop above this candle high for me. And now that works here, but if the candle is like this big, it doesn't make sense for me to trade it. And usually there's then a fair value gap here that I can trade to, and then I'll enter on this fair value gap, and then I can set my stop tighter. And that's for what I will use the fair value gap. And yeah. So what was good on that day? I had a nice setup, even though it failed. And what was bad? I pressed sell instead of buy and lost extra amount of money. And I got biased from my live trades too hard. So I bought some live trades, and they're good at trading, but we don't trade like the same, and that's good because then I can learn from them. But I can get biased easily by that, and that's not good. So I didn't follow my rules, and my emotional state was rushed. And like I already mentioned, the outcome was a loss. And my biggest lesson of this day was biased. So my lesson is don't get biased. Yeah, that's it. But I would still rate this setup like a A- because it was a good setup, like here, but just the change in the state didn't happen clearly. So then let's hop right onto the next trade. The next trade I took was on January 8th. I think it was Wednesday. No, it was Thursday. Excuse me, my mic. And yeah, again I lost the trade. And let's see. So first we'll look at the higher time frame. That's the wrong thing. So higher time frame here. January 8th. So my trading goals for that day were look for my model and not for a trade. So I wanted to enter if market gives me an opportunity and not if I see an opportunity. and for news events we had unemployment claims, and that's it. So on the 4 hour we had it's kind of not good, but still I think we can hop over it. So that's the day you should look at, the second red line. So we had a big high time frame SMT, or actually we didn't. I don't know why I marked it out, to be honest. But what we had is we had displacement to the downside, and we didn't made a change in the state on the 4 hour. So yeah, the 4 hour isn't that significant for day trading, but I still look at it sometimes, because sometimes it just can hold valuable information in it. Then on the 1 hour, I want to see what we do this 1 hour fair value gap. So just from looking at the 4 hour, I was bearish, but then I looked at the 1 hour, and the 1 hour showed me that we might soon inverse a 1 hour on both charts. And just from seeing that, I knew, or I guessed, or I thought that price wants to go to this buy side level here, and here also this buy side level. So from here on, my initial bias was more bullish. Then I looked at the 15 minute, and external buy side was still above us. And I thought to myself that it's probably the first target of the day. And then we can do whatever we want. We might see a bullish continuation, or we dip it and continue lower. But that's something that I didn't. Yeah, fuck it. So, but I was bullish from the lower time frame and also higher time frame, because we were in a higher time frame buy model. So that means that I expect a continuation. Then I marked out the 50 minute on NQ, and I wanted to see if just this fair value gap keeps holding bullish. So that was my high time frame confluence. Then let's look at what happened. So that's probably the 15 minute. So after open, we went down. We came down, dipped the 50 minute, actually pushed through it, but we never got a 50 minute close below it. So it held bullish. And then we got an inversion here. And yeah, that's the long I could have taken, but I didn't took it. And that's the short I could have taken, and I didn't took it. So that was also a nice setup against my bias though, but we'll not discuss this. So here, perfect model actually. Higher time frame bullish SMT, you can see it here. Then followed by a change in the state in delivery, and then a fair value gap tap. I took this fair value gap, and that's a nice example of when I'll use my fair value gaps, because if I took the trade here, the risk reward would be really bad. But if I take it here and put my stop here, that's a good risk reward. And one correction for my stop, I always put my stop above the below the or above the candle wicks. So I would put a stop here. Why? Because I know that price could go through the fair value gap and then go up again and like still invalidate it or just not respect it. And that's why I put my stop here, to give price action a little more room. But I also don't set it here, because that gives it too much room, because if we close usually below this candle low, we push through this 1 minute then, and then my model or the fair value gap I bet on got inversed. So it's like you tip on a sport game on LeBron James, like that fair value gap is LeBron James, and then he doesn't even show up. That's kind of what I think of if for my risk management. Always set your stop so that if it hits your stop, your model gets invalidated, and that's what I think of my model. Yeah. So it was a valid model, the upside trade that I didn't took. And another bad thing that happened on the day, I've already nearly forgot it. So I entered this long actually. I don't know if it was perfect execution, but it was actually okay execution. But what I did, I opened a long, and I held it, and I closed it right at the bottom. Why? Because I was scared that I was gonna get stopped out. So I closed it, and I thought to myself, I'm gonna get stopped out anyways. And I really felt rushed and hesitated in that moment. And then what we saw, price moved up, and eventually we hit the take profit up here. So what this taught me again, just stick to your trades. If you lose, you lose. If you win, you win. But don't do some half-ass stuff. And yeah, like here did my tags, valid model, I followed my rules. Execution was clean, emotional exit because why? I entered at the bottom, and that's also why I lost money. My take profit was fixed, no runner used. Stop loss was also fixed, but I didn't adhere to it. Can you say that? I hope so. Yeah, and rushed. And yeah, emotional state, I don't know if that's real, so I'll correct it. It probably was like this. And the setup, I'll change it to a A- because it's a nice setup. The only thing that's missing for a perfect setup is better displacement, better entry, or a faster continuation till my take profit, because it took a long time. And then the last trade we're gonna hop over is the trade with the best discipline from this week. So it's a break-even trade, but it's still a trade I learned a lot from. So on this trade, actually like the same thing happened than yesterday. So I took a short, and I wasn't confident in my short, and I closed it. And then it started to go down, down, down. But I entered again before it went down. And usually would call it revenge trading, but in this case I call it grabbing your balls and sticking to your rule. And that's what I did. I just entered. I said, fuck the money. If I lose it, I lose it. I have my strategy. I enter and I execute. Kinda, I wanted to bestrafen in English. I just forced myself to re-enter it and endure the mental torture. And it wasn't a valid model though, but I'm still proud of it because it showed that I can hold my trades, and that's something I lack with, like holding my trades and being confident in them. So another mistake I made was I should have took my partial somewhere here, like in other take profit, because I still was bullish in that day, and I wanted to see a take profit getting hit, like a short scenario, that if that would hit, my bullish bias would get invalidated, and that's bad to think of. And what was good, I think I already mentioned it, I exited the first trade emotionally and decided to re-enter it and stick to my analysis and trade with no emotions, and that's what I eventually did, and the break-even move was good. So to reduce my risk in a trade against my bias, usually if like another low gets taken out, I just set my risk to break even to avoid getting stopped out, but I'll still happily take the profits if it hits my take profit. And yeah, also my risk was too high on that trade. I risked $200, so 0.75%. That's more than 0.5% what I set, and C tier setup. And my emotion, like I said, were calm. So that's it for my trades, and now we're hopping to the next part of the trade weekly recap. So now we're gonna go over my risk, like how I traded this week. So did I stay within max risk per trade? I didn't. Some trades I over leveraged on my position, but most of the times I was in my risk limit. Then the next thing is, did I respect daily drawdown limits? And yes, I did those every day. So I always respected my daily drawdown. I never lost more than 2 trades on a day, and I never also lost more than 1% in a day. Then the next thing is, did I avoid revenge trading? And I did. Just I didn't trade out of revenge, and that's good. Then the next thing is, did I force any setups? Um, yes, I forced any setups. I forced a lot of setups actually, and that's also something I need to improve for next week. Then the last thing, did I stop trading when conditions got just bad? And I gotta say again, no, I still continue to trade even with bad market conditions. So the next part is psychology and pressure. This is the most important part and also probably the part where I can grow the most. And yeah, let's hop right into it. So, which emotion was really dominant this week? And I think the most dominant emotion was fear of loss. Like, I was scared of losing my money, my trades, and also like confidence was really low. Then when did the pressure peak? So usually the pressure of confidence peaked when I was in the trade, and the fear of loss also peaked when I was in the trade. So yeah, those were the moments where I felt the emotions most intensely. Then what triggered it? On confidence and loss, like fear of losing. I think losing is also like is connected with confidence, or the fear of losing, because if I'm not confident, I constantly fear losing, and I think this can be just fixed simple if I choose a simple entry model, and that's what I'll do for next week. So the next thing is like weekly patterns that I repeated this week a lot. So the first thing is what behavior repeated, and I think the behavior that I repeated the most this week was getting biased, because I watch live trades from Justin or Chris, and I know they can trade, but I found out that I trade differently, not completely differently, but a little bit, and I should not get biased by those. Like, they're guiding me on how to handle a position emotionally, but not execution wise, and that's probably what I fucked up the most this week, because it really it was really conflicting with my confidence and usually what I wanted to see. And for this week, I was more right than them. So yeah. So what I want to do is also, I'll say it later, but look for a setup and not for a trade. Yes. And then where did mistakes cluster? So as you can think, every day at session open, I usually had my draw, but every day I wanted to see first move lower, and I tried to take the move lower sometimes, but then I'll set my take profit just my take profit unreasonable, and yeah, that's also a mistake that I probably did every day. And where did the good trades come from, or in this week the good trade? So the good trade came from sticking to what I was thinking and analyzing the market with my knowledge and really sticking to it with an entry model, and having confidence in your trade and holding it either till your take profit or to your stop loss. So this week was really about getting influenced. So now we're gonna talk about my lesson of this week. And my core lesson, or the core thing I learned from this week, was don't get influenced and be confident. Why that? Because a lot of the days during this week, I lost my trades, not because I was wrong with what I wanted to see, but because I was unconfident with my draw, with my entry, just with basically everything. And also, I got influenced a lot from what others were thinking, and that's usually a bad thing, not only in trading, but also in life. So, that's my core lesson. Don't get influenced slash biased. So then I want to tell you now about my plan for the next week. So I don't want to change too much. I just want to focus on some points that that lowered my win rate and my wins this week. So what stays the same is how I analyze the high time frame. But what I will change is my confidence in my trades, and even if they lose, I want to hold them till my stop loss. And then another thing, I want to watch the live trades, but not to copy the trades kinda, but more to show me how to manage. More to show me how to manage my positions and how to set the stop and everything, not to copy trade basically. And the last thing, or no, the second last thing is I also want to have a strict entry model. Like I said, change in a state or fair value gap inversion with a possible fair value gap tap. So it's basically the same entry, but just defined a little bit different or a little bit easier. And then the last thing is, if my bias is higher, as an example, if my draw of liquidity that I want to go towards is above us, only take trades that make sense to take if your bias is to the right draw. Because I also took trades where if my take profit would have hit, like we would expect market to go lower first before taking the draw that I marked out or wanted to see. And now we're gonna do like a quick review or rating about how I would rate the week. So discipline wise, I would rate it a 4 out of 10 because I wasn't really disciplined. I didn't held my trades, and yeah, it just wasn't a great week. That showcased a lot of discipline. Then next thing is patience. So patience clearly gets a 2 or 3. So I was really impatient in the market. I really wanted to take a trade instead of market giving me opportunity to take a trade. And yeah. And then execution wise, it was okay. Like I would give myself a 6. It wasn't horrible. I still made some mistakes. Like instead of buying, I sold the market, or the other way around. And yeah, that's mostly it. And also this week was one of the most emotionally intense weeks while trading, and I think I needed that to grow, and now we can start through better. And that's the recap for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and more importantly, learned something. If you did, please also don't forget to drop a like and a follow. And if you have any questions about how I trade, what I trade, just questions, my comment section is always open, and I'm more than happy to see some comments there and answer them.